Welcome to Math Expressions with Miss Hasty. Today we're going to be starting Unit 6. We're going to be looking at Unit 6, Lesson 1, which is situation equations and solution equations using addition and subtraction. So you're going to want to start in your activity book, page 243. So turn to page 243, 6-1. And there's a couple of activity pages that we're going to do together. And then we'll go over your homework side of the 6-1 and then the remembering side just to remind you of a few things. Okay, so hopefully you have gotten to 6-1 on page 243. Here we go. Let's start out with writing equations to solve problems. So a situation equation shows the structure of the information that you have in a problem. And then the solution equation is what you use to solve the problem. All right, so let's look at the first problem. Last night, 312 people attended the early showing of a theater movie. How many people attended the late showing if the total attendance for both showings was 961 people? Okay, so we have 961 people all together. 312 attended the early showing. So our situation is that there is 312. Oops, gotta get my drawing on. Choose my color. 312 plus something equals 961. Okay, that's our situation equation. That's the information we know. But now we have to solve that. So the solution equation, how do I solve that? I take my 961 minus the 312, and that is going to give me my answer of how many attended the late showing. Okay, and then you're going to solve it. So 961 minus 312, and you should get 649. Don't forget your labels. People. Okay? All right, we're going to move on down the page here. You should be following along on page 243 again. Okay, so let's do a couple more of these together. Draw an equation to solve the problem. Draw a model if you need to. And I'm going to draw the models so that you have those to look at and refer to. Okay? Number 2, a shopper spends $53.50 for a sweater and a t-shirt. What is the cost of the sweater if the cost of the t-shirt was $16.50? Well, if we do a math mountain here, our $53.50 is the total cost. We know that the t-shirt is $16.50. Okay, what we don't know is how much is the sweater. So here's our math mountain, and then our situation equation would be our $16.50 plus n equals $53.50. But our solution equation is taking $53.50 minus your $16.50, and that's going to give you your n. Okay? And when you solve it, you should get $37. Okay? So make sure you do that math, and that's the answer that you get. All right, so looking at number 3, Jalen had 4 2/3 pounds of modeling clay and used 3.5 pounds for a craft project. How many pounds of clay were not used? So again, we know the total amount they had. That's the top of our math mountain. Okay, and we know how much they used, but we don't know how much was not used. Okay, so here is our situation and what we know. To get the answer then, we're going to take our 4 2/3 minus 3.5, and that is going to give us how much was not used. Okay, remember you are subtracting mixed numbers there, all right, and you have to get a common denominator for the 3 and the 2 before you can do that. So when you solve that problem, you should get 1 1/6. Don't forget your label, pounds. Okay? And number 4, Deborah drove 105.9 miles after stopping to rest. How many miles did she drive before the stop if she drove 231.7 miles all together? Remember that all together is the top of our math mountain. So we have 231.7 miles and we have 105.9. So there's our unknown. We're going to have n be the unknown. Okay? So to solve this problem, you're going to take your 231.7 minus 105.9. Remember, these are subtracting decimals, so you need to line up the decimals. Okay? And then when you are finished, you should get 125.8 and your label miles. Okay? All right. Okay, we're going to move to the next page. And I need to erase this one, I think, before I can do that. And I need a bigger eraser. Okay, while you are turning to the next page, page 2, here we go. And let's look at page 2. I'm going to move it on my screen here as well. Okay, so a couple more equations and problems. I'm going to draw a model. I'm going to do that so that you have those to look at. You can always come back to these videos and replay them. That's the nice thing about it. If you get tired of maybe working at one particular time, you can take a break and come back and play it again. Okay, so number 5 here. A car odometer shows 6,437.5 miles at the end of a trip. How many miles did the odometer show at the beginning of the trip if the car was driven 422.3 miles? All right, so we know the total distance they drove. So that's the top of our math mountain. Get my pen out here again. So 6437.5, that's the top of our math mountain. And how many miles did the odometer show at the beginning if the car was driven 422.3 miles? Okay, so if we subtract that, then we're going to find out how much it showed in the beginning. So that we're going to solve for n. 6437.5, and I apologize if my hand's in your way in the beginning being left-handed, but you can see the work after I'm done. 422.3. Okay, so do that subtraction. Make sure you line up your decimals, and you should get 6,015.2 miles. Don't forget your labels. Okay? All right, number 6. Enrique has 2 packages to mail. The weight of one package is 12 1/4 pounds. What is the weight of the second package if the total weight of the packages is 15 1/8 pounds? So we have a total again. That's going to be the top of our math mountain. 15 1/8. Okay, we know one of the packages is 12 1/4. We don't know the other size of the package or weight of the package. Okay? And then it does tell us, if possible, express your answer with a whole or mixed number. Remember, a whole number, we know a whole number. Mixed number is a whole number with a fraction. Okay, so to find out the other weight, we have to take our 15 1/8 minus 12 1/4. And that's going to give us our unknown answer, our unknown number. Now again, here we're working with mixed numbers and we do not have a common denominator. You have to get a common denominator first before you can solve this. And when you are finished, you should get the weight of the second package is 2 7/8 pounds. Okay? All right. And I know we love these. We're going to be looking at some reasonable answers now, but we're just going to kind of talk through this, okay? So, number 7, suppose you were asked to add the decimals at the right. So, you should be following along in your book, guys. 2.65 plus 0.42. Without using a pencil and paper to actually add the decimals, give a reason why an answer of 2.07 is not reasonable. I want you to think about that for a minute. Okay, so again, you're adding 2.65 to 0.42. Why would an answer of 2.07 not be reasonable? Okay, hopefully you realize that when you are adding two numbers together, that your answer is going to be larger than 2.65. Okay, we want to recognize this so that we know that we're adding instead of subtracting. That's how we know if something is reasonable. The second reasonable problem, number 8, suppose you were asked to subtract the fractions at the right and you wrote 5/6 as your answer. Without using pencil and paper to actually subtract the fractions, give a reason why an answer of 5/6 is not reasonable. So if you look at those, 1/2 minus 1/3, think about what a half looks like. And then if you took 1/3 away from that, okay, would it make sense to get 5/6 as your answer? Think about that for a moment. Okay, hopefully you realize that 5/6 is very close to a whole, because 6/6 would be a whole. So if you're taking 1/2 minus 1/3, it should be a much smaller fraction. Okay, hopefully that's something that you recognized. All right, thank you guys. There's our activity for the day. Now I want to take a look at our homework side, and we're going to look at our homework. Okay, I'm just going to kind of read through the problems and then come up with the equations that we need to be using. Okay, so follow along. I'll give you a minute to get out your 6-1 homework. We'll come up with the equations that you're going to be performing, and then we'll take a look at the remembering, and we'll talk about some of the problems you should do there. All right, so number 1, write an equation used to solve the problem. Draw a model if you need to. I would suggest using the Math Mountains or your situation equation, filling in the blanks of what you do know, and then use an opposite equation to solve it. If it's an addition, then you would subtract, right? So number 1, 2 professional baseball teams played a 4-game series. Attendance for the first 3 games was 126,503 people. What was the game 4 attendance if 171,318 people altogether attended the series? Actually, I do have this in here. Let's go right to that page. Okay, so I can make a little bit of notes. Hopefully you can see that. Okay, so what we know is all 4 games, the attendance was 171,318, okay, all together attended. And the first 3 games was 126,503. So this is our unknown number. So what that means is 126,503 plus n equals 171,318. Well, we don't know what n is. So that means we need to do a subtraction problem and take 171,318 minus 126,503 to get your n. Okay? All right, let's look at number 2. I'm going to look over here just because I can't read that very well. You guys know me and my glasses. I need my glasses. All right, number 2. In the past, shares of stock were bought and sold in fractions of $1. Suppose 1 share of stock purchased for $72.25 per share decreased, now there's a key word there, decreased in value to $66.38 per share. What was the decrease in the value? Okay, so to solve this problem, we're going to take, it's a decrease, so that means subtraction. 72 1/4 minus 66 3/8. Okay, and that's going to give you the decrease. That's going to tell you how much. So if we did our math mountain, it's 72 1/4 is the total number, right? And if it went down to 66 3/8, but we don't know how much it decreased by. So you're going to solve that to find that answer. Now remember, again, here we are, mixed numbers. Our denominators are not common. You need to find a common denominator before you can solve that. And we're going to be looking at the remembering side, and we'll show a couple of those so that you can see that again, how to do it. All right, number 3. 2 shipping containers are being loaded into the cargo hold of a ship. One container weighs 2.3 tons. What is the weight of the other container if the total weight of both containers is 4.15? So again, here's our math mountain. 4.15 is the total weight of both containers. One of them weighs 2.3. What is the other? Okay, so to solve this problem, you're going to take the 2.15 minus your 2.3 tons, and that is going to give you your answer. Okay, number 4. The heights of horses are often measured in units called hands. Okay, Abigail's pony is 13 1/4 hands tall. How much taller is Jermaine's horse if it is 16 1/2 hands tall? Okay, so we know Jermaine's horse is 16 1/2. That's the top of our math mountain. And we know that Abigail's horse is 13 1/4. Well, how much taller is our unknown? So to find the answer, we're going to take 16 1/4 minus 13 1/4. And look at that, we have a common denominator. So that's much easier to do, to solve. We don't need to get one because we already have one. Oh, I take that back. Oopsie, it's 16 1/2. I'm sorry guys, 16 1/2 minus 13 1/4. You do have to get a common denominator. Okay, number 5. Jake plays baseball with 2 wooden bats, one made from hickory and one made from white ash. What is the weight of his white ash bat if his hickory bat weighs 32.4 ounces and both bats together weigh 64.3? 33. So 64.33 is the top of our math mountain. 32.4 is one of the bats, and we need to figure out what is the other bat. Okay, so if we take our total weight and subtract one of the bats, that is going to give us our other weight. All right, and number 6, one more. 17 fewer people attended the second basketball game of the season than attended the first one. So 17 fewer, fewer is one of our key words. Okay, 192 people attended the second game. How many people attended the first game? All right, so we know, let's see here a second. Sorry guys. 17 fewer people attended the second one than the first. 192 people attended the second. Okay, so 192 attended the second. 17 fewer people attended. Oopsie. All right, 192 people attended the second game. How many attended the first game? All right. So if you're going to take your 92 minus your 17, and that is going to give you your answer. All right, we got one more to go here. Okay, so you have your equations on how you're going to solve your homework and remembering and your story problems. Don't forget your labels. I always remind you of that. Okay, let's look at our remembering side. So if you would turn the page to the remembering side, take a peek there, and we'll increase this a little bit. And let's do, guys, let's just do the evens, okay? So you can write that at the top. You can do the evens for the remembering. And so let's take a peek at these. So number 2, now remember these are adding, so 1 through 12 is adding and subtracting mixed numbers. So you have to make sure you have common denominators, okay? So number 1 has a common, or 2 has a common denominator since we're doing evens. And you can just go ahead and perform that one. Now number 4, okay, number 4 here has, oopsie, 7 minus 1.5. Now how do we do that? Okay, so if you have 7 minus 1.5, I'm going to move over to the side here, give myself a little room. Remember to line up your whole numbers. That was 7 minus a half, yep. Line up your whole numbers, okay, but I don't have any halves to take it from. So remember, you have to borrow from the whole and make some halves. And how many halves can I make from a whole? I can make 2 halves, or my numerator and my denominator match. Okay, now I can go ahead and perform that operation. All right. Okay, that's number 4. Number 6 is adding. That one's okay. Number 8, you're adding mixed numbers. You need to get a common denominator for 5 and 8. Remember the first number that both of them go into, and it might be 5 times 8 and 8 times 5, okay? And 10, common denominator, and 12, okay? Get a common denominator for that. Okay, and then you're gonna do number 14. Copy each exercise, then subtract. Remember that means you need to line them up one on top of the other. Line up your decimals, okay, before you go ahead and do that problem. So 165.98 minus, and then underneath, line up your decimals, 127.2, and then we add in zeros where there are empty spaces, okay? And then I wanted you to do the stretch your thinking. That's why I picked evens. So let's go ahead and read this over. Garrett, isn't that interesting, wants to buy a new soccer ball, a pair of shorts, and a pair of soccer shoes. The ball costs $12.55. The shorts cost $22.98, and the shoes cost $54.35. Garrett has $85. How much more money does Garrett need? Okay, so you have to go, first you have to go, whoopsie, my OneNote turned off for a sec. First, guys, you need to go ahead and add all of the items together that he wants to purchase. So add all of those together. And then if he has $85, does he have enough to buy all those things? And if he doesn't, how much more is he going to need? So write an equation to solve that problem. All right, boys and girls, that concludes lesson 6-1. So we will see you tomorrow for lesson 6-2. Hello, camera guy.
All done?
All done. How long was that?
I don't know.
I don't either. All right, guys, sorry. Welcome back to lesson 6-1, mistakes. All right, so number 6 on the homework side. I'm sorry, I went back and I reread it after I did the video and I realized I didn't read it correctly. And we do that, don't we? So 17 fewer people attended the second basketball game of the season that attended the first game. 192 people attended the second game. Well, we already know who attended, how many attended the second game. So it's 192 and 17. What we don't know is the first game, okay? So to solve that one, 192 plus 17 is going to give us our total amount of people that attended the first game. Sorry. Thank you. See you tomorrow.